When we get to heaven, I can guarantee you there's not a single one of you that's going to be saying, I wish you hadn't have encouraged me to give so much and that I'd have got my 5th flat screen TV. You're going to come up to me and hug my neck and kiss me and say, thank you, thank you, thank you for getting that money out of my pocket.
This is Pastor Andrew Womack. He's been trying to break into politics for a long time, which, by the by, is illegal if he wants to keep tax-exempt status. He's perfectly free to say whatever he wants, endorse whatever political candidate he wants or party or whatever, oppose any political candidate or party or whatever he wants if he pays taxes. But of course he wants the best of both worlds and refuses to pay taxes, but refuses to stop endorsing political candidates and opposing political opponents. So he's been working behind the scenes for a long time, attempting to find his way into politics, find some way to gain political influence. And I'm sad to say, he succeeded. Now, I do have some words of encouragement here. It feels bleak sometimes. A lot of the time there are like people like this guy, these Christian nationalist extremists, these MAGA people who find their way to political power and make a mess of things on their way out the door, right? Or even on their way in the door. They make a mess of things. But something I want you to keep in mind as we go through this video is that they don't have the numbers. Not even close. The numbers, by a wide margin, go with us. Anybody to the left of hunting the homeless for sport. This guy is terrible in his policy positions, believes that people should be forced to go to church, believes that this is a Christian nation, believes that if you aren't Christian, you shouldn't be in it, that children should be taught the 10 Commandments in elementary school and made to memorize like all of the Gospels and the whole 9 yards. Like that's the type of person he is, right? But he knows he's not there yet, so he's going to start with baby steps. This guy actually succeeded in taking over a political, what would you call it? Like a political district in Colorado. So I wanted to talk about like this, the NBC article that references him taking over this political district in his area. And I want to talk about how he did it and what his goals are moving forward so that maybe we can put a stop to this kind of thing. Or maybe even we can implement this exact type of plan in our own way to try to take over our own political districts. Because let me let you in on a little secret. People don't vote. If you can get somebody to vote your way, even a few people, it could sway the election. Not the general election necessarily, but on local levels, school board elections, property surveyor selections, judge selections, even the smallest, lowest elections possible. It only takes a few people. Sometimes it's come down to like 2 people total. So let's look at his strategy, the strategy he used to take over this entire district, and maybe, just maybe, we can implement it to our own ends. Listen to what he had to say here, early April 2022. This is him sounding the alarm about the evil LGBT community out to get all of the children.
We decided that we were going to take Colorado back. Colorado is a very liberal place, and so we've got a thing in place, and during the last election cycle, we started with the school boards, and we singled out 5 districts in Colorado, and we put out these voter guides, and out of 178 people that we were supporting, we got, I think I may get this wrong, but it was somewhere around 78 or 80 of them elected.
You got to be careful with anything that you believe from this guy. He has a tendency to like lie through his teeth brazenly and for absolutely no reason. But he did get people elected who he wanted elected. And I'm talking extremists, true blue extremists. So he put up a voter guide to get 150 people elected, and he succeeded in getting 70 of them elected or so. His next goal is to put up another voter guide where he lists 150 people. Maybe he gets, 30 elected next time. That's 30 more MAGA extremist nutcases on permanent judicial benches or in senator or House member positions that were not there before. Again, we need to take this method and use it ourselves. Pay attention to how he does this stuff because we need to be doing it too.
8 or 80 of them elected. And so we're beginning to make an inroad, and we've got some big plans in place this year. I sent a spy into our public school system.
A spy, okay?
To check out what the books are. And I got a list of, I think it was 54 books in the Woodland Park school system. And this is a small place, 7,000 people in the community. And there's 54 homosexual books that we know of.
54 homosexual books that we know of. Wow. Okay. Well, let me tell you this. This is a lot of the time presented as the left grooming kids. That's not what's happening, okay? There is a logarithmic scale of harm. If you are 15 years old or under, being exposed to anything sex-related, anything sexual at all, is damaging and potentially scarring. It's bad, okay? It starts getting less harmful at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. At that point, I think the main problem is the power imbalance between two people more than anything. You just shouldn't be any more than 2 years difference in age gap under any circumstances if you're dating a teenager. So if you're 18, 16's cutting it close. 17 and 18-year-old dating, that's okay. 14, 15-year-old dating, that's okay. 14, 16-year-old dating, that's a little bit iffy. But at no point in time should anybody 15 or under ever be exposed to anything sexual by the adults in their lives or by anybody at all ever, period, right? The logarithmic scale starts to go down from 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, gets a little bit safer. Well, here's the thing. You ever seen a movie where there's a kid that's, say, 7 years old, he's in elementary school, and he's chasing after this girl, he's super obsessed with her, he really wants to be her boyfriend, gives her flowers and serenades her and the whole 9 yards, wants to be in her life, 7 or 8 years old. You've seen that, right? That's like a movie trope that shows up all the time. I don't really have a problem with that because that's real life. You know, people chase after other people. That's just part of the deal. What if the kid was gay? What if the boy is serenading another boy, bringing flowers to another boy? What's the fundamental difference there? There is none. There's no difference between a boy chasing after a boy and a boy chasing after a girl. The only difference is that one couple is gay and one couple is straight. Now, like I said, kids should never, ever be exposed to anything sexual under any circumstances, ever. But if you find yourself in a position where all of your friends are finding girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever, and you're a boy, and you find that you're actually interested in having a boyfriend rather than a girlfriend, who are you going to turn to? It may not be entirely safe to turn to an adult. In fact, you have to be really, really careful with that conversation as an adult. You have to be real careful with it. It's not inappropriate or wrong. You just have to be careful. Make sure that you don't take advantage of the kid or expose the kid to an idea that could be damaging to them. It's dangerous. But you know what is safe? Providing access to a book that describes a kid in the exact same situation that you're in. Provide access to books that these kids can pick up and read at their leisure. Let them expose themselves to this side of society if they choose, and they will be perfectly safe. There's zero harm involved here. Now, there's a lot of nuance to this conversation, obviously, all the nuance I just explained. But the nuance goes right out the window with these people, and it's replaced with a single word, groomer, which, by the by, in my opinion, is a slur. It's the new F slur for gay people, in my opinion. The word groomer is no better than the F word for gay people. So the fact that 54 quote-unquote homosexual books, whatever that means, were in this district means that there are 54 different options that young kids have to choose from if they don't understand the feelings that they're experiencing right now. And they can do it in a safe way without contact with the outside world, without worrying about their parents finding out that maybe they had these questions or ideas, without worrying about the bully finding out that they had these questions. And what's this guy trying to do? In fact, what's he effectively succeeded in doing? Closing off any avenues children may have to find some kind of commonality between each other. Let me tell you a little story about myself. When I was a teenager, I was beaten relentlessly by my father with absolutely no reason or explanation or anything. My dad used to chase me down the hallway, and I'd run to my bedroom and push a shelf in front of my door and lean against the shelf as he's pounding and pounding and pounding on this door and screaming, "Open this god door, open this door, open the door," over and over and over again. When these types of situations took place, after they were over usually, my mom would come home and she would play the violin softly, quietly. That was her way of coping. And that's the one thing that I came out of that situation with. It is the thing that causes flashbacks in me, PTSD flashbacks, to hear the violin played softly the way my mom used to. Throws me back in the body of that 12-year-old boy sitting in front of the shelf as my dad banged on it and banged on it and banged on it. And you know what I did when I sat in that bedroom, hiding from my dad, hoping that he didn't beat that door down and grab me and throw me out the window or throw me through a wall? You know what I did? I read. There's a book that I read. I don't know the name of it now. If somebody knows the name of it, please put it in the chat. Tell me what the name of it was. I really want to know. There's a book about a boy that was moving from somewhere else to the United States, and he passed through Ellis Island. This is from the 1800s. I mean, Ellis Island was only in operation for like a couple of years before I think it burned down. But anyways, the boy passed through Ellis Island, saw the Statue of Liberty, and saw the inscription on the front and everything. Only he was beaten mercilessly by his father too. And through various parts of that book, that boy had considered drinking drain cleaner to deal with the pain that he was dealing with, to bring it to an end. Now, I very obviously don't condone that. The book didn't condone that. The book didn't even encourage it. But you know what the book did do? It helped me relate. It helped me connect to somebody else who's having this exact same type of experience. Something that people at school or at church or friends or family or whatever couldn't possibly fathom, couldn't possibly know what it's like to be thrown to the ground, to see your mom step in front of your dad to protect you, and just watch her be thrown aside like a rag doll as he ran after you anyways. Watch her fall flat on her ass in an attempt to protect you. That's something that I got from the book. A connection to somebody else who understood, who knew. A connection to somebody who was processing the same feelings I was processing in that moment. Now, ultimately, did I have a desire to drink drain cleaner? No. And neither did the boy in the book. But it was a thought that crossed my mind. And it was a thought that crossed the boy's mind, too. Andrew Womack, the guy on screen here, has systematically set out to remove any ability for somebody to relate to somebody else on any level at all. He has he's sent spies into schools to prevent people from being able to experience or to read about the experiences of other people that are in their shoes. Now, mine was about physical abuse. These kids' experiences are about being gay, about having feelings for somebody of the opposite gender. Where are they going to get that solidarity now? Where are they going to get that connection now? They're not. And that's the point. They're not. Andrew Womack and other Christian nationalist extremists like him don't want people to have that connection. They don't want people to be able to build a bridge with somebody else who has also experienced this. There is absolutely no harm in making this stuff available to people. Pushing it on them, that could be harmful to their psyche. That could be scarring. Forcing kids to consume sexual content, that's scarring and bad and damaging and should be banned and is banned. Making it available for kids who are having bad experiences in their lives or unusual experiences like being gay, that's not like standard in the United States. It's not that, it's kind of like anomalous, I guess. It's not what everybody expects of you to be a white Christian male. If you're not one of those three things, white Christian male cis, if you're not one of those four things, you're an anomaly. And they want to snuff out every anomaly at any cost. Unfortunately, this guy seems to have taken a step towards success. So hopefully you understand why this is bad. It's not just like, oh, okay, well, he removed 54 books from the library. Whatever. Okay, fine. I mean, it's not great. It's not fantastic, but time will go on. You know, things will move forward, whether those books are in the library or not. No. If I hadn't had that book to read, I'd already had those thoughts running through my head about the drain cleaner long before that book came along. If I hadn't had that book to ground me, I may have drank it. Maybe that's the goal. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's what they want. They most definitely want to force people back in the closet, for sure. The more people come out of the closet, the more people realize that it's safe and okay and acceptable and fine to come out of the closet. And that is the absolute last thing that these people want. Not just for the gay community, not just for the trans community, but for anybody who doesn't fit into those four categories. Straight, white, male, cis. If you don't fit in there, shut your mouth, don't say a word, and pretend you do. Anyway, let's keep listening to Andrew Womack talk about his spy entering the school system.
That we know of. And I got a list of that. And I've got people that are on my staff that go to every school board meeting, and as soon as we get them looked at so that we can defend what we're saying, we're going to stand up in the school board. We also ran, and we now have a number of our Charis graduates that are on school board, and we've got Christians in places, and praise God, we're seeing things change.
So he has strategically positioned people in positions of authority to make sure that it's more difficult for kids who are dealing with something hard to find some kind of solidarity with somebody else, to find some kind of connection with the outside world. This is early May 2023. This should draw out for you exactly what Andrew Womack intends to do. In fact, what he's succeeded in doing, largely.
I believe that God has raised up this ministry and has given us the influence that we have, not only to touch individuals, but to make a difference.
Well, really, yeah, he's right. He is touching individuals for the worse. He's making their lives worse. He's making it so that they have no connection with the outside world, so they have no way of relating with or connecting to anybody who's dealing with something similar to them. Good job, Andrew. I hope you're happy with yourself.
In this nation. And so I'm still praying about it. And I don't know exactly where we're going, but I'm more and more convinced all of the time that, man, we need to increase our scope. And we need to be far beyond just dealing with individuals.
Remember, the guy succeeded in taking over a local district, a local school board, and succeeded in pushing out any books that could provide comfort or solidarity or explanations or anything to anybody who is gay or trans. Remember, he succeeded in pushing this stuff out of his school district. So every kid in Andrew Womack's district now has nowhere to turn if they need something the way that I needed something. And now he says we need to think on a larger level.
Convinced all of the time that, man, we need to increase our scope. And we need to be far beyond just dealing with individuals. We need to be dealing with communities. And man, as many people as we have in this school here, we ought to take over Woodland Park.
And they did. They did. They took over Woodland Park, as he said.
And so this Citizens Academy is to hopefully get you engaged and recognizing that, man, we've got a tremendous opportunity. This county, right? Let's just start right here with the county. This county ought to be totally dominated by believers. And some people think, well, you know, we shouldn't be flexing our muscle. We shouldn't be doing this. Well, we should.
Why? Is that what Jesus said? Did Jesus say, go and flex your muscles and force everybody around you to be exactly like you? And if you don't force everybody to be just like you, or if they refuse to be just like you, then hang them from the town square? I don't remember that. You know what I remember? I remember Jesus saying, love your neighbor as yourself. Something to that effect, right? I remember Jesus talking a lot about people living and let live. Remember any of that? No, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want any of it. He wants to impose his beliefs on the people around him at any cost. And it's simply disgusting. For what it's worth, let me show you what this guy is imposing on other people. Let me show you the propaganda that this guy has been using to take over Woodland Park, Colorado. Let me show you what he believes. This is mid-September 2022.
A friend of mine in Illinois actually knows a teacher that comes to school as a furry and wears ears and a tail and uses a litter box at the front of the classroom to relieve himself.
Yeah, of course, this is complete nonsense. If this was actually happening, it would be front page news from here to Texas. But, of course, it's completely made up. Would you expect any differently from somebody like this? Made up from beginning to end. But this is what they're pushing on children now. This is what he's doing with his district that he bought. He's convincing everybody that the Christians are the persecuted ones, and he needs to set out to persecute the others rather than being persecuted by anybody other than Christians. In reality, Christians were never persecuted in this district. This was all about taking control at any cost. And he succeeded in this one district. Now, this one district, it's not that big of a deal. Could be worse. It's a blue state. Eventually, it will almost certainly flip blue again. So I don't want you to like get too upset over the fact that this district was lost to people on the right. It will turn blue again. But the fact that he is attempting to use this as a kind of pattern to expand to the rest of the United States should be disturbing to everybody. Everybody. You take a look at this one. This is just another example of one of the ideologies that he is exporting to the people of Woodland, Colorado, to the people in the district that he took over. This one is from 2021, by the by. Give this a listen.
You know, this is something that's very politically incorrect and will be, a lot of people will find this to be upsetting, but I tell you, the things that are happening in our nation, it is a doctrine of the devil. It's not just people with a different opinion, it is demonic. And the people who...
So this is one of my big problems right here. You shouldn't be calling your enemies demonic, in my opinion. You shouldn't be, I've seen Vosh doing this a lot too. I mean, not to do a call out here or whatever, but, you know, the Majority Report's done this, TYT has done this. You shouldn't do this, okay? You can't call this stuff out when you're doing it too. It's either wrong for everybody or it's wrong for nobody. In my opinion, you just shouldn't be calling your enemies demons or demonic or linked to demons or any of that other garbage.
Is demonic. And the people who are doing it are being influenced and controlled by the devil. These are doctrines of demons, that a man can just choose to be a woman. He can choose to go into a woman's restroom because he feels like a woman today.
Just complete misrepresentation of the entire situation, of course.
That is nothing but an excuse for perverts. It's wrong.
You know, if you passed a law saying that only biological, like men that were assigned male at birth, only those people were allowed into men's rooms, and vice versa. Only women who were assigned women at birth were allowed in women's rooms. You'd get this exact same problem anyways, right? I know Buck Angel has a lot of problems. I don't agree with a lot of the problems that Buck Angel has created, or I don't agree with Buck Angel as a human being or whatever. They've got terrible takes on a ton of stuff. That's not really what this is all about, but this is Buck Angel. Like I said, I have problems with Buck Angel's ideology, the things that he says, and everything else. I don't like Buck Angel by and large, but if you make it so that only women who were assigned female at birth are allowed in women's rooms, and only men who were assigned male at birth are allowed in men's rooms, I know you're trying to prevent big burly men from entering women's rooms, but guess what, guys? This person in front of us was assigned female at birth. So go ahead and pass the bill that prevents trans women from entering women's rooms. You're going to end up with this person in your women's room, legally speaking, if you pass that law. I mean, the ultimate solution to the problem that the right has with the trans community is just getting rid of them. Just eradicate them, as Michael Knowles said. Eradicate transgenderism from public life entirely, I believe is what he said.
If it is false, then for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely. The whole preposterous ideology.
So they don't just want to make a situation where only men can enter women's spaces or vice versa, or whatever it is. They want to eradicate it from society. And like I said, Andrew Womack, friend of Kenneth Copeland, has succeeded in taking over Woodland, Colorado. We have to fight against this stuff. As Barack Obama says, I think, the moral arc of the universe bends toward justice. And as Jon Stewart says, no, it doesn't. People bend it toward justice. It bends toward justice because people are doing it. People are forcing it that way. People are filing the lawsuits. People are speaking out. People are on social media talking about these issues that are happening right now. People are sharing clips of Michael Knowles saying we need to eradicate transgenderism from society. People are talking about this. That's what bends the moral arc of the universe toward justice. It doesn't just get there itself. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'm disgusted by the fact that this guy seems to have successfully created a pattern that can be used throughout the rest of the United States to push his extremist Christian nationalist agenda to everybody from here to Texas. That's disturbing to me, and we need to do something about it.